Hey, good morning. We're out here this morning setting up our foundation for our cabin. We're getting ready to just lay out the beams, run the, they're called Rosebergs, but they're engineered joists, they're eye joists, and we're going to hang some hangers on our beams and get ready for the installation of this flooring section. We're going to put it back on the trailer and we're going to end up transporting it all the way down to Chitina. So that's what we're looking at trying to do right now. And so I'm just going to take some time lapse footage and you guys can view the process of just going through layout and getting all the material situated. And this is what we're working on. We're going to lay out the beam for our joist hangers and get everything positioned in the way that when we get onto the job site in Chitina, when these beams come off the trailer, they're going to come right off the trailer. And so this is going to be the back of the cabin. So my layout, I'm going to pull from the back. Now the back side of here, what I've decided to do to structurally mount my Versalam is I'm going to run the Versalam on the outside of these two beams, and then I'm going to attach it to my beams here. And so I need to calculate for that. It's an inch and 3/4 of a distance that Versalam is going to sit on the surface of it here. And so my layout is 16 inches on center. So that means from the outside of the board and the outside of the Versalam that would be there, if I pull back, I want to be the first place I want to put a joist is going to be that 16-inch on the center. So I need to calculate that in, and the way that I do that is I overhang 1.5 inches. I come in, I look at 16-inch on center, and the joists that I'm using are 2 1/8 inches thick. So because they're 2 1/8 inches thick, I need to go in and 1 1/16. So I pull back 1 1/16 both ways for the location of the joist. I come in here, I mark it, I use my speed square, I mark the angle across both of them, and you can see I got my beams. I put them together, I flushed them up on this side. I also looked down the center of the beams, or I sighted them to make sure that my crown is up, so that when the deflection of the boards or the weight just of gravity lays on those boards, that they're going to want to sag down. And so with that crown up, it'll help with deflection. So my crowns are up. I have them to where this is the top. I'm flush on the ends, and now I'm ready to pull layout. Since I'm working by myself, this is a long beam. I put a little cheater block up here for me so that all I have to do is, since I'm not coming to the very edge of the beam, I need to be able to make sure that I can calculate. So I don't have to do the math every single time that I get to another 16th of an inch. I put a little cheater block right where the edge of the joist is going to sit. And then I'm going to come in here from that point, and I'm just going to mark, all I have to mark there is now my 16, every 16 inches. I come in there, 16 inches here, and I'm just following on my tape measure here. So the next one is going to be 32. So I can just mark the edge of it. And then when I come in and mark it with my square, I can pull over where that's going to be. And this is where my joist hanger is going to go. So I'll just need to mark one side of them. I'll run down through here and do that, and then we'll get ready to lay our joist hangers. Okay, I have it all marked out. So you'll see, come up here, I'll let you see. So what it looks like here, moving from the end, I'm coming in and you can see my mark on the left side of the mark is where I'm going to put this joist. I just mark it out all the way down. This is the end of my 16 feet. So 16 feet from the outside, this is with the calculation of the Versalam. And so I need to make sure that I mark this location because I'm going to end the main deck here. I'm actually going to use decking material for this other end of the deck on this side. So this is where we'll end up with our brackets, and we won't go any farther past this, and we'll do something different down here. We'll talk about that later. On here you saw me using my nail gun. It's a positive point nail gun. It allows me just to nail those in instead of doing them by hand. I used to do them all by hand, but I like that pneumatic positive point nail so that we could set those up pretty quick. So we're going to transport these. So from here, all I'm going to do is I'll put them back together and just strap them back on to the trailer. And when we get down to fish camp, you guys will see. But pretty much they're going to come right off the trailer. So I don't have to turn them around or anything. They'll just come right off the trailer and right onto our foundational supports that we have down there. And so that's the placement of our joist hangers. You can see here where I just lined it up on the line, and you saw the little cutout that I was using, which is just an actual piece of joist that will eventually go in between there. And because it's an engineered material, I'm comfortable with allowing that to be what we need. I'm looking for it to be flush with the surface. I don't want them to be sloppy inside of there, so they'll be really tight. With this type of material, what we don't want to do is we don't want to really be nailing into the side of it at all on the bracket. The only place that we'll put a nail is there's one spot right down there in the corner, and we'll place a nail right there. And I'll actually use some timber lock screws at an angle on both sides just to lock this in place when we put them all in. This last bracket is a different bracket because I needed a structural beam to run off the front, and we'll talk more about this later, but this last bracket, these two brackets here are different. They're for my Versalam, and we'll show you that, what's going to go on there. The deck is going to go up front here, and so we'll do some other stuff for the decking, but we'll use that for our supports, just so everything stays together in one solid unit for the floor system. Got just a little bit more layout to do for the stairs, and then we'll load everything back up.